Good morning, students. Welcome to our online class. This is your second period, and the subject is history. Students, today I am taking recorded class, and in this recorded class, I am continuing the same theme, that is theme 11, that is Rebels and the Raj. Rebels and the Raj, theme 11, and in this theme we are particularly focusing on the revolt of 1857. So students, going back to our previous class, in the previous class we have completed up to page number 298, where we studied about the talukdars. They lost their autonomy, isn't it? Now today I'll continue the same topic from page number 299. Okay, so just I'm reading and I'll explain. The deposition of talukdars, the deposition of talukdars meant the breakdown of the entire social order. I mean, the talukdars, their position was disposed, their position was removed, they became weak. Earlier they had control over the peasants, they had control over the land. Okay, they collected land revenue. But now what happened? The disposition of talukdars meant the breakdown of an entire social order. The ties, I mean the relations, the ties of loyalty and patronage, the ties of loyalty and patronage that had bound the peasants to talukdar was disrupted. Earlier, there was a tie, there was an agreement between the peasants and the talukdars. Now that was broken. Okay, in pre-British times, I mean before British rule in India or before the advent of British rule in India, in the pre-British times, the talukdars were oppressors. Before the advent of British to India or before the beginning of British rule in India, these talukdars, they were regarded as what? Oppressors. They oppressed whom? The peasants. The talukdars were oppressors, but many of them also appeared to be generous. Some are generous people are there also there, but most of them are oppressors. But some of them are generous figures or generous father figures. They exacted a variety of dues from the peasants, but very often were considered in times of need. These talukdars, they always oppressed the peasants. They collected various forms of land revenues. Okay, from the peasants. Okay, they collected number of dues from the peasants, rents from the peasants, land revenue from the peasants. They never considered, whenever the peasant is unable to pay the land revenue, at the time these talukdars never considered those peasants, their grievances. Now, under the British, the peasants were directly exposed to over-assessment. At the time, the peasants were oppressed by the talukdars. Now, during British rule, these peasants were directly exposed or directly harassed by the Britishers. So, now under the British, the peasants were directly exposed to over assessment of revenue and inflexible methods of collection. Now also the peasants were suffering under British rule. The British people over assessed the land revenue, which is beyond the capacity to pay by the peasants. Moreover, the method of land revenue collection was not flexible, it was very rigid. Okay, it was very rigid. Now, at the same time, there was no longer any guarantee that in times of hardship, a crop failure, the revenue demand of the state would be reduced. There is no guarantee. Suppose all the years are not same. Sometimes there may be floods. Sometimes there may be droughts. So whenever the crop is failed due to any natural calamity or any reason, at that time also the British government has not stopped collecting or not stopped collecting the land revenue from the peasants. During the hard times also, the peasants has to pay the land revenue to the British government. It's very difficult. There is no flexibility in collecting land revenue under British rule also. Okay. At the same time, here, during the crop failures, okay, what I can say, the revenue demand of the state would not be reduced or collection was postponed. The collection was also not postponed. Okay. Moreover, or that in times of festivities, whenever there is a festivals, okay, the peasant would get the loan and the support the talukdars had earlier provided. Before time, what happened? Before British rule, whenever there is a festival, any marriage function, birthday function, anytime these peasants can take loans from the talukdars and they could manage their functions. But now under British rule, it is not possible also. In areas like Awadh, which is in Uttar Pradesh, in the areas like Awadh where resistance during 1857 was tense, the resistance, the opposition, there was a strong opposition by the peasants, Awadh peasants. There was a strong resistance by the Awadh peasants in 1857 in Awadh region. Was intense and long lasting. The fighting was carried out by talukdars. The fighting against the British rule were carried out by the talukdars and their peasants. Both the talukdars and the peasants, they carried a strong resistance, long resistance against the British rule. Many of these talukdars were loyal to the Nawab of Awadh. Most of the talukdars, they were very much loyal to the Nawab of Awadh, that is Wajid Ali Shah, and they joined Begum Hazrat Mal. Here, Begum Hazrat Mal was the wife of Wajid Ali Shah. Please, this you underline. Begum Hazrat Mahal. So, Begum Hazrat Mahal, the wife of the Nawab, the Wajid Ali Shah, now she is leading the movement in Awadh against the Britishers. She started a resistance against the Britishers, and in this resistance, all the talukdars and peasants, they gave their hand, they gave their supported hand. Or I can say, the resistance which is led by the Nawab, the talukdars and peasants, was headed by the wife of the Nawab, and she is none other than Begum Hazrat Mal. As she started resistance against Britishers in Lucknow to fight the British, some even remained with her in the defeat. She was defeated in the hands of the Britishers. And when she defeated, naturally, most of the talukdars also defeated, the peasants also defeated. The grievances of the peasants, the sorrows, the problems of the peasants were carried over into the Sepoy lines. Now, the problems of the peasants, their grievances, the sorrows were taken into the Sepoy lines. This news spread to the Sepoys. Since a vast majority of the Sepoys were recruited from the villages of Awadh, as already we studied, that most of the Sepoys in the British army were recruited from the village side, and they are from what? Peasants community only. So same thing is said here. Okay. Now what happened? Majority of the Sepoys were recruited from the Awadh countryside. For decades, the Sepoys had complained of low level of pays. I told you that day there is a lot of discrimination between the Indian Sepoy and the British soldiers, though they are working in the same army. Some are paid high salary, some are paid low salary, some are well equipped, some are not well equipped. The British soldiers are well equipped, they are paid higher salaries, promotions are given to them, whereas the Indian Sepoys were not given promotions, they paid very low wages, they were not well equipped when they are fighting in any battle or any war. So that's also one of the reasons for what? Discontentment among the Sepoys to revolt against the Britishers, or for the mutiny against the Britishers. One of the reason. By the 1850s, there was another reasons of the discontent. What is that? Let us see. The relationship of the Sepoys with their superior white officers. The relationship of Sepoys, Indian Sepoys, with their superior white officers underwent a significant change. Underwent a significant change in the years preceding the uprising of 1857. I mean, before the actual outbreak of 1857 revolt. Before the actual outbreak of 1857 revolt, the relations between the Indian Sepoys and their superior white officers underwent a change. In the 1820s, the white officers made it a point to maintain friendly relations with the Sepoys. Since 1820s, the white officers, the British officers, they always maintained a very good friendly relations with the Sepoys. They would take part in their leisure activities. The white people, the white officers also took part in all the leisure activities of the Sepoys. Okay. Now, they wrestled with them. Sometimes these white people, they wrestling, wrestling. So these white people, they wrestled along with the Indian Sepoys in the leisure activities. Fenced with them and went out hawking with them. Many of them were fluent in Hindustani. Many in that white officers, okay, the superior leaders, they participated in the leisure activities of the Indian sepoys. They wrestled with the Indian sepoys. They fenced with them. They were united with them, and many of them were fluent in Hindustani languages also. Many of them were fluent in Hindustani languages and with familiar with the Indian customs and cultures. Huh. These officers were what disciplinary? I can say disciplinarian. These officers were disciplinarian and a father figure rolled into one. Now, in 1840s, or I can say in the 1840s, this began to change. About from 1820 to 1840, the relations between the white officers and the Indian sepoys was very good. The relationship between the Indian sepoys and their superior white officers, the relations were very good up to 1840, from 1820 to 1840. But soon after 1840, the things began to change. The relations becomes very worst, strained. In the 1840s, this began to change. The officers developed a sense of superiority. Earlier, they participated in all the leisure activities. They wrestled, they fenced together. But now, these white officers, they thought that they are superior than these people. The sense of superiority was started among the white people, and they treated the sepoys as their racial inferiors. Riding roughed over their sensibilities, and they roughly treated these people, what Indian sepoys, white officers roughly treated the Indian sepoys. Abuse and physical violence, even they abused Indian sepoys, they did physical violence on the Indian sepoys. Okay, and thus the distance between the sepoys and the white officers grew strained. Okay, trust was replaced by suspicion. Now Indian sepoys are doing suspect to the white officers, and the white officers also suspecting the Indian sepoys. So earlier there was a friendly relations. Now the relations change into what? Suspicion between the Indian sepoys and the white officers. The episode of the greased cartridges, I told you the greased cartridges. The episode of the greased cartridges was a classic example of this. Now, now I'm reading the one source 4. See, what talukdars taught. Let us see. The attitude of the talukdars was best expressed by what? Hanwant Singh. I repeat, the attitude of the talukdars in Awadh. The attitude of the talukdars was best expressed by Hanwant Singh, the Raja of what? Kalankar near Rai Baleri. Yeah, Rai Bareli is in Uttar Pradesh. During the mutiny, Hanwant Singh had given shelter to a British officer. See here. During the mutiny, when the Sipai mutiny was started, this Hanumant Singh gave shelter to a British officer and conveyed him to safety, and he took his safety measures. While taking leave of the officer, Hanumant Singh told him, after everything is over, while taking leave from that British officer, Hanumant Singh said, Sahib, see how they pronounce it, Sahib, your countrymen came into this country. Your countrymen came into this country and drove out our king. Your people came to our country and they drove away our king. You sent your officers around the districts to examine the titles to the state. I repeat, you sent your officers around the districts to examine the titles to the estates. At one blow, you took from me lands which from time immemorial had been in my family. You have taken all my land, which we practiced cultivation since ages past. I submitted, I agreed for that one. Suddenly, misfortune fell upon you. Now, misfortune fell upon you. The people of the land rose against you. The people of this area, they rose against you. You came to me, okay, whom you has despoiled. You despoiled me. Now you took shelter with me. You took shelter in the hands of me. And I have saved you. And I gave shelter to you. I saved you from my own people. But now I march at the head of my retainers. Okay, to Lucknow to try and drive you from the country. But now I decided that I will also go along with my people. I will also work to drive away the Britishers from India. So this is the one of the concept. Now see, it is also an important to remember that close links. It is also very important to remember that close links existed between the sepoys and the rural world of North. And the rural people in the North India, I mean the peasants, the talukdars, they and the Indian, the sepoys who worked in British Army, the relations were very friendly. There are close relations between them because I told you most of the sepoys were recruited from the village side only because they're hardworking. So it was also important to remember that there was close links existed between the sepoys and the rural world of the North India. The large majority of the sepoys of the Bengal army were recruited from villages of Awadh. The large number of Bengal sepoys were recruited from the countryside of the Awadh. Okay, now here at the same time, this Awadh is where I told you eastern Uttar Pradesh. Now many of them were Brahmins. Many of the sepoys were what? Brahmins. Actually, they were came from what? Awadh region, eastern Awadh of eastern part of Awadh, or I guess eastern part of Uttar Pradesh. And these people recruited. Brahmins were recruited in the army, British army. Brahmins or from the upper caste. Either the sepoys were recruited from the Brahmin family or the upper caste people like Kshatriyas, etc. Awadh was in fact called the nursery of the Bengal army. Dash was called the nursery of Bengal army. You please underline that, students. Dash was called the nursery of the Bengal army, Awadh. That means most of the Bengal army soldiers, the sepoys were recruited from the eastern part of Uttar Pradesh, that is from Awadh. Most of them are Bengalis or upper caste people. The changes that the families of the sepoys saw around them, I mean now the sepoys are changing the sepoys are witnessing some of the changes around them. So what is it here? The changes that the families of the sepoys saw around them and the threats they perceived were quickly transmitted to the sepoy lines. I repeat, the changes that the families of the sepoys saw around them and the threats they perceived were quickly transmitted to the sepoy lines. In turn, the fears of the sepoys about the new cartridge, the fears of the introduction new cartridge, their grievances about leave, their grows, and about the increasing the misbehavior and the racial abuse, on the part of their white officers were communicated back into the villages. Again, they communicated back into the villages that the treatment was not good now. Now the feeling of suspicion developed between the British white officers and the Indian sepoys. So this news spread to the villages. The link between the sepoys and the rural world had important implications in the course of the uprising. I mean the link between the Indian sepoys and the rural people of Awadh that became one of the major reason for what the outbreak of independence revolt. When the sepoys defied their superior, the Indian sepoys, they defied their superior officers, white people, and took up arms in their hands and joined very swiftly by their brethren in the villages. I mean, they joined along with the rural people. Everywhere peasants poured into towns. The peasants came from the villages, they came to the towns and they joined their hands with the Indian sepoys against the white officers and joined the soldiers and the ordinary people of the town in a collective acts of the rebellion. That means what I want to say, both the peasants and the sepoys and the common people all together they rose in revolt against the British oppressive policies in North India, especially in Awadh. Now, what the rebels wanted? What the rebels wanted? Rebels means what? Those revolt. These are rebels in the eyes of the British government. But these people are fighting for the justice. But they were treated as what? Rebels. So what the rebels wanted? Let us see. As victors. Victors means what? Those who win the war. As victors, the British recorded. Who are the victors here? Britishers are the victors. Not Indian sepoys. Indian sepoys were defeated. So as victors, the British recorded their own trials and tribulations as well as their heroism. I repeat, as victors, the British recorded their own trials and tribulations as well as their heroism. They dismissed the rebels. They dismissed the rebels as a bunch of ungrateful and barbaric people. They dismissed all the rebels from their jobs, treating as the barbaric people, uncivilized people. The repression of the rebels also meant a silencing of their voice. One way, the British government took a upper hand and suppressed or repressed the Indian sepoys or the rebels in order to stem down their voice, to control their voice. Few rebels had the opportunity to, I repeat, few rebels had the opportunity of recording their version of events. Some of the rebels have given an opportunity to voice their concerns. So what he said here, few rebels had the opportunity of recording their version of events. Moreover, most of them were sepoys and ordinary people who were not literate. They were not educated, they were not literate. Most of the ordinary people in the sepoys were not literate. Thus, other than a few proclamations and what istihars means your notifications. Istihar means what? Notifications. In the Akbar, that newspaper, there are istihars, advertisements. Okay, so what is said here? Thus, other than a few proclamations and the istihars notifications issued by the rebel leaders to propagate their ideas and persuade people to join the revolt, we do not have much thought throws light on the perspective of the rebels. Attempts to reconstruct what happened in the 1857 are thus heavily and inevitably dependent on what the British wrote. While these sources reveal the minds of the officials, they tell us very little about what the rebels wanted. Now, under this, we will see 3.1, the first topic, that is the vision of unity. The vision of unity. Let us see what was given under this topic, the vision of unity. The rebels' proclamations, they proclaimed for the united resistance against the British rule. So the rebels' proclamations in 1857 repeatedly appealed to all the sections of the population in India, irrespective of their caste and creed, to unite to fight against the British rule. Many of the proclamations were issued by Muslim princes. I repeat, many of the proclamations were issued by the Muslim princes or in their names, but even these took care to address the sentiments of the Hindus. The rebellion was seen as a war in which both Hindus and Muslims had equally to lose or gain. The istihars harked back to the pre-British Hindu-Muslim past and glorified the coexistence of different communities under the Mughal Empire. The proclamation that was issued under the name of Bahadur Shah appealed to the people to join the fight under the standards of both Muhammad and Mahavir. So here Muhammad means what? Muslims, and Mahavir means what? Actually Mahavir is a Jain. Mahavir Jain. Here Muhammad and Mahavir both united means what? At that time Hindus and Muslims both were united. It was remarkable that during the uprising, religious divisions between Hindus and Muslims were hardly noticeable. Hindus and Muslims, they didn't find any difference between them. Both together joined and unitedly fought against the common enemy, Britishers. British attempts to create such divisions, but Britishers always tried to divide both Hindus and Muslims. In Bareilly, in Western Uttar Pradesh, in December 1857, the British spent about 50,000 rupees to incite the Hindu population against the Muslims. See, the British people in the Western Uttar Pradesh, Bareilly, they spent 50,000 rupees in order to develop a dispute between, in order to develop the differences between both Hindus and Muslims. But the attempt was failed. The unity was that much strong that attempts were failed. Now, one next time reading, that is the Azamgarh Proclamation of 25th August 1857. The Azamgarh Proclamation of 25th August 1857. Listen carefully. It is an excerpt. I need to read this one. This is one of the main sources of our knowledge about what the rebels wanted. So through these sources, we will come to know what the rebels wanted. What the rebels actually wanted, let us see. This is one of the main sources of our knowledge about what the rebels wanted. Yes, it is well known to all. It is well known to all that in this age of people of what? Hindustan, both Hindus and Mohammedans are being ruined under the tyranny. Tyranny means what? King's rule, cruel king's rule, tyranny, and oppression of the what? Infidel and what? Treacherous English. It is therefore the what? Bounden duty of all the wealthy people of India, especially those who have any sort of connection with the Mohammedan royal families and are considered the pastors and masters of their people, to stake their lives and property for the well-being of the public. Several of the Hindu and Muslim, or I can say Musliman chiefs, who have long since quitted their homes for the preservation of their religion, have been trying their best to root out the English in India. I repeat, several of the Hindu and the Musliman chiefs who have long since quitted their homes for the preservation of the religion and have been trying their best to root out the English in India, have presented themselves to me and taken part in the regaining Indian crusade. Indian crusade means what? Religious war. For the information of the public, crusade. And it is more than the what? Probable that I shall very short receive what? Soakers from the west. Therefore, for the information of the public, the present istihar, the present notification, consisting of several sections, is put in circulation, and it is the imperative duty of all to take into their careful considerations and abide by it. Parties anxious to participate in their common cause, but having no means to provide for themselves, shall receive their daily subsistence to me, and being it known to all that the ancient works, both the Hindus and the Mohammedans, the writings of miracle workers, and the circulation of the astrologers and pundits, all agree in asserting that the English will no longer have any footing in India or else. I mean, even astrologers also told, they predicted in future coming days, this rule of British will be ended, the Englishman people rule will be ended, and India will free from them. It was happened. Their predictions were correct. Okay. Now, therefore it is incumbent on all to give up the hope of the continuation of the British sway, side with me, and deserve the consideration of the what? Badshahi or imperial government by their individual what? Extension. Okay. Now, this is a very big one. Here some sections are given here. Promoting the common good and thus attaining their respective ends. Otherwise, if this golden opportunity slips away, they will have to repent for their folly. Folly means what? People. So here, section 1, section 2, section 3, section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4 and section 5. 5 sections are given. So I suggest to my children to read this proclamation, all the 5 sections, so that you can understand. This may be asked in the examination. Again in source 6 also given what the sepoys thought. What the sepoys thought. This is another except can be given in the examination. So I suggest both my students to read these two what? Excepts, and I will ask questions in the coming period. Okay students? So please read the chapter ones in a detailed manner so that you can understand, because excepts will be asked in the examination, and you need to find out the answers from the paragraph, and you need to write your own answers with the understanding of that except. Okay students? So thank you and stay safe.